can you solve this MAT multiple choice question up in the top left here? I'll give you a second to pause the video, give it a go yourself. But we'll go over it now. Okay, so initially looking at it, let's see if we can check whether A is a solution. So if you plug in x equals 2, on the left hand side we're going to get x squared plus 1, which is going to be 5 to the 10, and this is going to have to be equal to 4 minus 4 minus 2. We can clearly see that 5 to the power of 10 does not equal minus 2. So we can safely say that x equals 2 is not a solution. Okay. So B, C and D, it's not as easy to just rule it out. This would be a polynomial of degree 20. So by the fundamental theorem of algebra, there could technically be 20 real solutions. It turns out the answer to this is B. This has no real solutions. And I'm going to show you multiple ways we could come to this conclusion. The first way, which I quite like, is checking, okay, let's say x is even. If x is even, then the left-hand side of the equation, x squared plus 1, must also be even. Because if x is even, this implies that x squared is even. And so x squared plus 1 is odd, and anything odd raised to the power of 10 will be odd. So this left-hand side, if x is even, then the left-hand side is odd. And the right-hand side will be even, because 2 times x even minus x squared, which will be even, minus 2, which will be even, and even minus a even minus a even is even. So if x is even, then the left-hand side is odd and the right-hand side is even, which means x cannot be even. If x is a solution, it can't be even. Well, if x is not even, then x must be odd. If x is odd, then the left-hand side, if x is odd, then this implies that x squared is odd. And so x squared plus 1 must be even, and an even number raised to the power of 10 will be even. So the left-hand side must be even. But the right-hand side, 2x will be even, x squared is going to be odd, and 2 is even. So it's an even minus an odd minus an even. That's going to be an odd number. So the right-hand side is odd. So this shows that there are no real solutions, because if x is even, the left-hand side cannot equal the right-hand side. And if x is odd, the left-hand side cannot equal the right-hand side. Another way of going about this would be looking at whether the expressions can take positive or negative values. So if you notice the left-hand side, x squared plus 1 to the power of 10, this is always going to be positive. X squared is always positive. You add 1, it's going to be positive. And a positive number raised to the power of 10 is always going to be positive. So the left-hand side is always positive. In fact, it's always greater than 1. The right-hand side, if we complete the square, so the right-hand side's a quadratic. If we complete the square, we get minus x squared minus 2x plus 2. We get x minus 1 squared minus 1 plus 2. So this is minus x minus 1 squared plus 1. So this is minus x minus 1 squared minus 1. So notice that x minus 1 squared is always going to be positive because it's a squared number. So minus x minus 1 squared is always going to be negative. And when you minus 1, again, it's always going to be negative. So this is always going to be less than minus 1. And so we've shown that the left-hand side must always be bigger than 1, must always be positive. And the right-hand side must always be less than minus 1. So it must always be negative. And so that's another way of showing that this equation has no real solutions. Thank you for watching. Any questions, please let me know in the comments below.